Hello, everybody. Joel Holland here with One Corner, Keller Williams, One Chicago, and Daria Plamata, our buyer specialist. So we did a recent video talking about the difference between public and private listings or on and off market properties. And so today we're talking about pros and cons of, if you are a buyer, what's the benefit of how to find inventory, and what's the difference between the websites and where to find them, and what are the benefits if I were to buy a property off market. So to be sure to understand some of the nuances, check out our other video. But Daria, what if you're working with a buyer, or if I'm a buyer, what are some of the pros to buy a property if it's off market or on the private market?
Yeah, Joel, that's a really great question. So there are a lot of pros when working with pre-market or private listings. One of the biggest ones is that there's less competition, because the only people seeing these properties are people that are working with an agent who has the knowledge and tools they need to access these private networks, which not everybody does, right? Another really big pro, which is awesome, is that you can snag a property off the market before others seeing it, which means you might not get into that bidding war like we've been seeing everywhere, right? But on the other hand, there are some drawbacks to looking on the private listing network. Joel, what are the kind of biggest ones that you've been seeing?
Yeah, so let's think about one of the other reasons why someone would list as a seller. Why would a seller want to sell on the private market or off market? So check out our other video, which talks about the pros and cons from the seller standpoint. So here, it's important you understand both sides. So, But let's think about that seller. There's maybe about 6 different reasons why a seller would do an off-market or private sale. But so sometimes maybe that seller isn't as motivated. So what does that mean? Does a buyer potentially need to pay a higher price point because the seller is not willing to negotiate? Maybe it's, hey, it's not on market yet, why would I reduce the price? Or maybe we're just casually seeing and testing a price, so you're gonna need to pay us a premium to buy it before it goes on the public market. So it's potentially a higher price, or potentially needing to be more flexible on terms for the seller. So things like closing date, maybe a seller needs a longer date. Maybe there's some more limited data. So because there's less data, if I only want an attached 2-car garage, I'm gonna have to manually search through that, because that data isn't available in most private aspects of networks. So there are pros and cons, but ultimately the pro of getting access to a property before it comes on market is the big win that buyers have been finding, especially recently. Thanks so much, and check out our other 2 videos on private market and public market listings.